have mad respect for Roman Reigns. I mean, some of the things he's had to go through over the last few years and how he's handled himself, I mean, it is no surprise that WWE saw him as the top guy. Also, you've seen that hair and you've seen that wonderfully sculpted beard. Don't pretend at one stage you haven't looked at him and just thought, man, that is quite the specimen. I don't know how we got here. He has been through it in 2020 because of the global pandemic, obviously, to the point, as we found out this week, it may have even ended up with him quitting and leaving the WWE. Can you imagine that? Why? Here's why. As we all know, when this year did just nosedive through the floor, a lot of things did change, including the proposed main event for WrestleMania 36. As we all know, when this year did just nosedive through the floor, a lot of things did change, including the proposed main event for WrestleMania 36, which was Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. Now, WWE could have handled this better when Roman Reigns just vanished into the abyss and Braun Strowman walked up and went, I want to be in it instead, and never actually explained why. But hey ho, that was months ago, let's not worry about it. Filling in fans on Corey Graves' After the Bell podcast though, the big dog and the tribal chief actually let fans know what had been going on. And I'm just going to tell you what he said, which was, the most defined thought I had was that I had made a lot of sacrifices on behalf of my family, and this is one area where I'm not going to make that sacrifice. I will sacrifice my career, sacrifice a performance, I'll sacrifice the audience if I have to protect my family. I will quit. I'll hang up my boots. I've experienced everything I could possibly experience. For me, it was about putting my family first, and right there, if I had to retire and that was going to be asked of me, I would have done it. For one of the first times in a long time, I put my family first. They were 1A. Just to return to what I said at the start of this video, what an absolute dude, which actually shouldn't come as that big of a surprise, because anytime any news comes out of the WWE locker room about the tribal chief and the big dog, they all say what a good guy he is, how happy they are that he is representing the locker room, and how they just have all the love in the world for Mr. Reigns. Can you be surprised when you hear statements like that? I thought this was quite the grand statement, especially because elsewhere in this interview, Reigns admitted that when he first got re-diagnosed with a leukemia, he wanted to carry on wrestling even though he was about to have all of this treatment. Now that is absolutely mad, and how he even intended to do that, I don't know, but it kind of doubles down on the fact that Roman Reigns is a massive fan of professional wrestling and he's passionate about his job, he's passionate about his career. He's not just one of these guys that wants to make a quick buck, and he wants to make a difference when it comes to the world of wrestling and when it comes to sports entertainment. And I really like that, it gets me fired up. Even with all that, however, when it came to the proposition of potentially putting his family at risk, that was not a line he was willing to cross. I know, right? Big revelation. Husband and father doesn't want to put his family in jeopardy, but that's not the point. Even when you're making the correct decision, it doesn't mean your brain doesn't start to do weird things to you. Do you think Roman all of a sudden wouldn't have cared that he wasn't going to main event a SmackDown or a pay-per-view anymore? Of course not. He would have had withdrawal symptoms and he would have missed it. How can you not? Who doesn't want 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people cheering your name? I do, which is why I've set up a sound system in my house so that anytime I walk through a door, it just goes, yeah, Simon, come on. It's not a real thing, but if you could build it for me, I would pay you. But of course he would have yearned for all that. But now, as we know, there was every chance you could have woken up one morning in 2020 and seen the headline, Roman Reigns retires from WWE at just 35 years old. That would have been the biggest news of the year. Clearly we never got to that place, but if you actually go and listen to the podcast and hear the intonation and tone of his voice, I think we were far closer than we realized. It was only when WWE reassured him that you're gonna be safe, your family's gonna be safe, your kids are gonna be safe, that he made the decision to come back at SummerSlam. It also makes Reigns such an interesting character from a kayfabe perspective, because in reality, he's this really solid and awesome guy, but that's now manifested himself as him being a dick on camera, which is also the best version of Roman Reigns as opposed to Joe Adewale that we've ever seen. It's like a tree falling in the woods. On that note too, while I would never wish the last few months on anybody, a small silver lining has been this rebirth of Roman Reigns, and flippin' hell, if you've seen that most recent episode of SmackDown before Clash of Champions, when he had all that brilliant stuff with Jey Uso, you now know that Roman is on fire, maybe even literally, and he even went on to hint that this is just the start. He's got big things to come. He's gonna start wrestling without a top on, and he may even have new music. It's almost crazy we maybe didn't pull the trigger on this earlier, but it goes back to that old saying, better late than never, but better never late. But I will stand here, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my feet, from the bottom of my groin. This is some of the best stuff WWE has done in ages. That's why I'm all hyped now. I want to see where it's going to go. Paul Heyman and Roman rock. I mean, also do not forget that he returned to the company and won the Universal title within 7 days. If we had done that back in 2016, I actually think some fans would have burned down WWE HQ, but because it made sense and because there was just this little seed of intrigue about where it was going to go, everybody was fine with it. Apart from that one dude, but that one dude hates everything. That one dude, he would hate the fact if Vince McMahon knocked on his door and went, "Hey Steve," not that he's called Steve, but here he is, "Hey Steve, I want you to run my company." Went, "Oh, surprise, surprise, you don't want to do it yourself." Like, Steve, this is all you ever wanted, and now you're still moaning. I can't stand Steve. There's also a massive lesson to be learned there because WWE was able to present Roman in such a fascinating way. We all sat down and were happy to see what was going to happen. I just really hope that WWE remembers this, but they probably won't. They'll just throw it out the window and do something crazy, like make Carmella the Universal Champion. Because we can. But yes, we came pretty damn close to living in a world where Roman Reigns was no longer the top guy, no longer the man, meaning WWE would have had to search for somebody else. And you know what they would have done? They would have relied on Baron Corbin. They always do that. For some reason, it's like, oh, something's changed. Let's give a call to the king. That's not really fair. I actually think Baron Corbin plays his role very well. I mean, who is a better dick than that guy in terms of what we see on screen? He's just got no redeeming features. And he also wears a crown. So what a wonderful asshole he does play. And as I stand here in September 2020, just Roman Reigns, he's just the best. He just is. I love how he is outside of the ring, and now I love how he is inside the ring, although I always liked his character, but don't tell anyone because people get mad. It just gets a round of applause. All of this has been great, and once again, it's just a tiny, weeny little positive for all the other crap that came along this year. But it goes to show as well, just get on my high horse for 1 second, you never know what you've got until it's gone, so maybe this is a great opportunity to just throw some love and throw some care at Roman Reigns and realize he's doing a good job right now. He just is. I'm happy that he came back. I love what he did at SummerSlam. I love that he won the Universal title Payback. I love that he's now got this relationship with Paul Heyman, and I also love that Jey Uso was worked into the mix. I mean, I know it sums up everything that's been going on recently, but who called on your bingo cards, who had Jey Uso in the main event of a pay-per-view fighting for the Universal Championship, doubly so, cutting promos that actually made you get behind the guy? I don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe I'll become WWE champion. Yeah, right, I would have to do it in an ambulance match, but WWE has just done one of those, so maybe there's every opportunity. Can you imagine the hate I get online too? Just bring it is what I'd say, like the damn Rock. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this. Do you like Roman Reigns now? Do you like him in the past? Where do you want it to go next? Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, it's right there, click away, use your finger of power. Then head over to whatculture.com where you can read articles like this. Follow What Culture on Twitter to stay up to date with WWE at WhatCultureWWE. And watch more videos here with my bald head on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon What Culture. Thank you for watching me as always, where I ask why and slap my head. People always say that, Miller, why do you slap your head? And my retort is, well, why the hell not? But seriously, man, Roman Reigns, you keep doing you. I can't wait to see what the plan is with this. And you know what will happen? It will get to the point we appreciate it so much that eventually we want to cheer him and he can go back to being the good guy. It is The Rock all over again. We just took our precious time, but whatever.